Hey everyone, how is everyone doing today? My name is Gina and I'm doing great. So today I decided that I wanted to try doing a series. It's seasonal series using acrylic paint on a canvas. So the first thing I did was I sketched out my idea in my sketchbook, and then I transposed the sketch into the size that my canvas is going to be, and they're going to be 8 by 10s. And once I got my drawing in the space that it was supposed to be, so I know that everything would fit, then I went ahead I went ahead and I traced the tree so that I will be able to have that tree for all 4 seasons, because it is going to be my focal point. Now I did add the branches, and as you can see, I want them to look whimsical because I don't want this to look like it's supposed to be a realistic portrait, you know what I'm saying, or landscape, whatever, because that's not my style. I'm not really into doing realistic much of anything. I like to just use my imagination and sometimes create things that may not really be there. But I did want, though, the tree, and I thought I would need the branches. But then after I thought about it, I was like, I would rather do those freehand once I get the tree done. But I want the tree itself to look the same. So, and I did go ahead and I put my idea of what I was going to do. I was going to do little pumpkins with little sunflowers, and then little flower pots with some like mums in them, right? But then I kind of changed my mind about those two. You'll see that eventually. But I just very gently used graphite paper behind my tracing to put it on the canvas. Now, I have never done acrylic painting on a canvas before. I've done, of course, in my art journal pages, I've used acrylic paint on wood, but I've never painted on a canvas before with acrylic paint like this, like the way I'm doing in this video. Usually, I use oils, so I'm used to oils, but there's a little bit of learning curve, and I'll talk about that when it comes to it. And here's one of them right now. So my idea was I wanted to make this like a mixed media canvas, right? So I was like, oh, I just love the colors of these distressed inks for the skies, right? I just love it. So as you can see, I'm diligently putting on these distressed inks. And, I'm going to town with them, and I'm really digging the colors. I love the colors. I'm like, this looks like fall. It's so beautiful. It's so great. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't know, y'all, if this is going to stay on here. Because, I would touch it with my finger, and a little bit of the ink would come off. And I'm like, what? And then I thought, well, maybe it's because of the tool that I'm using, these great makeup tools that I use, makeup brushes. And so I'm like, I don't know. Well, let me dry it, and we'll see if it works with me drying it. And, and there you see me spritzing, too, because I wanted it to have texture. And then I hated that, too, on top of it. I'm like, you know what? That would look better for winter, not for fall. So I dry it. Right, as you saw, I dry it with my hairdryer, and I feel it, and nothing's coming off on my fingers. At least I didn't think it did. So I was like, I think it needs a little bit more depth to it. So I add a little bit more, of the ink, as you will see, as you see here, and to get rid of the little splatters I did, because like I said, I didn't like them. I thought it looked better for winter, because it looked like snow. We're in fall, y'all. And there you see me touching it, feeling it. And I'm like, okay, it feels dry. So then my idea is I'm going to take some of my glitter, right? And I'm going to take some of my high gloss gel. And I'm going to mix them up. And I'm going to use a stencil. And I'm going to have these stencils falling down from the tree, right? Because I'm thinking mixed media. I'm thinking like an art journal page. But it's not in my art journal. It's on a canvas. How freaking great is this, right? So you see, I'm going to town. I'm mixing it up. I'm having fun. I'm like, wee, this is going to be so much fun, so much fun. Oh, and by the way, this stencil is from Plum Purdy. So in case you're wondering, I love it. It is so cool. So then you see, I'm doing this, and I'm like, y'all, I don't think that this is going to work. I'm like, this stuff is coming. And as you see, look. And then so I'm like, forget it. This ink is not going to stay. It's not going to stay. So let me go to plan B. So I wipe it all off. And I leave this in the video because, you know, I love to teach. I love to show y'all that I am not perfect and that, you know, sometimes I make really big boo-boos. And that way that y'all won't have to do these boo-boos. I'll do them for you. So anyway, so I decided I'm just going to go all acrylic. Forget the ink. So I'm using a mixture of baby blue and Blue Harbor. And I'm going to paint the sky with that. And then the grass is going to be light Heiser green and avocado mixed up together. And I wasn't too crazy about the way that the grass looked, but in the end, I think it turned out okay. To be honest, this took me like 3 days to do for a couple of reasons. One, once I started the ink thing and then that didn't work, then I was like, oh my gosh, let me just stop for today because now I'm irritated. Plus it was late in the day and, you know, I had to, you know, feed my family and all that kind of good stuff, you know. So I was like, I'll just start on it tomorrow. But then I don't know. It was just, and there I'm trying to put some clouds in the sky because I'm like, this sky is looking, and then look how crazy they look. They look just crazy. You know, sometimes I'm like, Gina, this is not oil. I don't know. But anyway, I end up fixing it. Plus, you can't really see them once the leaves get on there and the branches and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't know. I just felt like we needed some sad little clouds. But anyway, back to my story. So I just was not. Oh, and then I was like, let's splatter. Let's add texture. Let's splatter. Why did I do that? I don't know. You can't even see it. It's not even there. Y'all, I'm telling you, I was just, the last few days, I was like, So, but I continued. And it did take me days because I was not happy with the way that the grass was going. It just, you know, I didn't want it to be a lot of grass because normally, you know, when I do like these in my art journal page, at least a third of the bottom of the page is like grass. But I'm like, no, I want the tree to be like, bam, right there, right? And so I was just like, I didn't like the colors that I picked. And there I'm trying to fix and make it look like there's grass there. And this was the first day. I had taken all the ink off and everything. And then I did this. And then I'm like, y'all, I'm stopping for the day because now I'm just, I don't know. I'm not digging this grass. I'm not digging the clouds. They look stupid. But I'm like, I almost gave up. But then I was like, no. I'm going to do the tree, and I am giving it texture. So this was, like I said, this was the first day. And I knew I needed to get this done because, you know, I used crackle paste. And if anybody has ever used crackle paste, you know that it takes days for this to dry. So I wanted to make sure that it was good and dry before I continued on with the painting. This I loved. This made me happy. I was so happy with the way that it ended up looking after it dried. And I was so surprised, y'all, that this crackle paste dried overnight. I thought for sure it was going to take a couple of days for it to dry, but it didn't. It dried overnight, and I just loved the way that it ended up looking once that it got dried. And I purposely tried to make sure that my lines, you know, were going down like it would look like a tree. And doesn't it look like a tree, y'all? Wait till you see it dried. It's going to be remarkable. It's a little lighter than what I wanted, but I wasn't too worried about that because I knew when I started shading and stuff, I was going to use a darker color and that would help it. And there you can see it. And do you see the texture? Do you see how it crackled? Oh my God, it looks like an old tree, doesn't it? Oh, it's so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. But again, you see me pointing to the grass. Wasn't happy with the grass. So then I still wasn't going to give up on that glitter with the gel medium. Wasn't going to give it up. I should have gave it up, y'all. I should have just let it just go out the window. But it was stuck in my head. This is what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to look like this. So the glitter is not bad, but I used confetti, and that ain't pretty. But these look okay. They were fine. If I ever, all my others, now don't quote me on this, but my other paintings that I will do in this series, I don't believe that I will use this. Now, again, don't quote me because, I just may. But I should have just left it with the glitter. I liked the glitter a lot better. But you see, I used those confetti, the long, confetti looking stuff. And they don't look good, y'all. They really don't look good. So, again, And I couldn't forget to get the sides of the canvas because this is a box looking canvas or whatever. So I think I only did 3 of those because I'm like, y'all, these are ugly. I don't like them. So I won't use that confetti that again. So of course then I had to let it dry. And again, I'm not really digging this. Even though I love the way that the tree came out, the whole thing I'm just not digging. There I'm letting you see what it looks like. It's dried. So then I was like, no, I'm not going to give up. I almost did, but I'm like, no, just keep going, Gina. In the end, it's going to look beautiful. So overnight, I only did that for one day. Just that. Just the gel stuff. And then overnight, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, I believe I drew everything too small as far as the pumpkins and the sunflowers go. So I wanted them to be bigger. And so I went ahead and did pumpkins on both sides of the tree, and I made the sunflowers a lot bigger so that you can actually, see them. So I went ahead and I got those sketched out. And then I'm just going to go ahead. And then after I saw this, I was like, okay, this is looking cute. But I still was kind of like, I still hate the grass. It's still looking pukey. I still hate the sky. It's still looking pukey. But I'm going to tell you what I should have done that I didn't do. Okay. So I drew them. And I'm like, okay, this looks cute. I'm glad that, I went ahead and did it. Because it's really, really... They're cute. This is really cute. So I went ahead and just started slapping paint on the canvas. Just slap, 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 slap. Now, once again, this is the first time of me doing this on canvas. Well, can anybody guess what I should have done? Anybody? Bueller? I should have put gesso. And I actually said to myself, Gina, you might ought to want to put gesso where you've put the pumpkins and your sunflowers. That way, you can see it better, or it won't be so muted with that blue. Now, it did cross my mind to do that. But again, did I do it? No. So I just did several coats of spiced pumpkin for the pumpkins. And for the sunflowers, I used antique gold for the leaves of the sunflowers. And I had to do probably 2 or 3 coats on top of that. I think I just did 2 coats on the sunflowers, I believe. But on the pumpkins, I did 3. Because, I wanted them to look like pumpkins. So, in the future Gina, future self, use gesso if you're gonna do this. If you're not gonna leave the canvas white, which is what I should have done. But hey, So then I end up using avocado and black green to create the stems and the leaves for the sunflowers. And for my shadow work that I end up using the floating technique, which I do on wood. I've done that. First time ever doing it on canvas though. So it was a little bit different. You had to keep the brush a little bit wetter. But for the pumpkins, I used oxblood. For the sunflowers, I ended up using burnt sienna on the leaves. And then for the highlights, for both the sunflower and for the pumpkins, I used marigold for those to give them their beautiful, beautiful look. And the more that I did this, I really enjoyed it. After, because I did the sunflowers first, and again, I was just not motivated because I was like, this is just not looking good. It's not looking good. And I'm like, well, let's just not give up. Let's just do the shadow work. Let's just see what it looks like. And then once I started doing that, and it started looking like what I had pictured in my head, then I got excited. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is looking so good. This is looking so cute. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So I was glad that I continued. So that just goes to show you, don't give up. Even if you think that what you're working on is looking really gross and crappy, just don't give up. Just keep going. Keep trying. Sometimes it is a fail. I've done fails before, and you've probably seen them, because I believe that, I'm not perfect, and so I don't want my videos to be perfect. I leave in some of my mistakes just so that you can look and go, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I leave in my goofs. Because I'm not perfect, and I never claim to be, and I'm not a professional. Never claim to be that either. So for the centers of my flowers, I use Spice Pumpkin again. And for the little stems on the pumpkins, I used Honey Brown for those. I'm going to end up using a, what's it called? A little stimpler to stimple some, I think it was oxblood that I put in the middle of the flowers. Right now what I'm doing is I'm putting some shadow work in there using the avocado, and I think it's just avocado. I don't think I put any black green with that. And then I kind of again, the grass was still bugging me, y'all. It was still bugging me. But when I put those little lines in, I was like, oh, okay, that's looking cute. And then the pumpkins kind of were looking a little funky too to me. So then I was like, you know what? They need those little lines. You know, the grooves of a pumpkin? So I put those in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, those are looking so cute. They're looking so cute. And then that's where I'm stimpling in the oxblood just to give it a little bit more. And then I will shadow one side with russet. And then I'll stimple some little dots in there. You know how the sunflowers have like those dark sunflower seeds, that I love to eat. I love them. Amanda does too. And then on my leaves, I forgot to tell, I ended up using, I think it was celery green on them for the highlights on that. So now what I'm going to do is I got to put the tree into the page. So I used Williamsburg blue. I was going to use Payne's gray, but then I was like, that might be a little bit too dark. That might make it look stormy. And the Williamsburgs kind of made it look a little bit like that too. But I was okay with it because, it is fall and it kind of gets dark and gloomy, and all that kind of stuff. And then I tried to fix these clouds by putting a little bit of shadow work up underneath those. But I wasn't too worried about the clouds because I knew that they were going to be hidden with the limbs and with the leaves. Now this made this tree come to life. I just used burnt umber and just used the floating technique, and then I kind of you know, skipped down to make the tree look like it had more lines in it and stuff like that. I just love it. I love that tree. I love it so much. It's just, it's one of my favorite things that I think I've ever made. So then I just used milk chocolate and burnt umber and created the little limbs. And as you can see, they are whimsical because I wanted it to be that way. I said that before. I didn't want people, well, of course, you're going to look at this and know it's not realistic. But I didn't want people to think that I was trying to go for a realistic view because, you know, hello. I wasn't. So I was going to do a double-loaded one-stroke leaf is what I was thinking of doing. But I wanted the leaves to be pointy. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, the filbert brush I had, because I was going to use a filbert brush, and I didn't have one quite narrow enough or, you know, small enough to do that. So I just went ahead and just used my round brush, my little round brush. And I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm using spiced orange again for the orange. And I'm going to end up shading that with oxblood to get that red look to it. And then I'm using celery green for the green leaves. And then I do highlights with marigold on that, and that's what I'm doing right there. And then the last leaf that I used antique gold, and then I'm going to use honey brown on that. So now I'm mixing colors for the grass. I told y'all I still was not happy with this grass. So I was like, you know what? The pumpkins need to have like little grass shooting over it, and so does the tree. Kind of like, yep, put it in there. So I just took a combo of avocado and black green, and I'm stimpling it. I'm just stimpling it with a deer hoof brush. I don't know what that thing's called. Looks like a deer hoof. So then I was like, you know what would be cool? What if like I put the colors from the leaves down on the ground? And there we go. And so that's what I ended up doing. I kind of made a mistake with the red. I should not have put that oxblood in there. But, you know, hey, whatever. I should have just left it like the celery green and the antique gold and the green of the grass. But, you know, it was already on there, so what can you do? So I just left it. And then I put little twigs around the pumpkin, you know, out of the stems. And then I'm just taking all of the colors that I have used in the leaves, and I'm just, you know, taking my stylus there and just putting little dots on those little stems just to, you know, just to make it look cute. And then that's it. That's my tree. That's my fall painting. Yoo-hoo! Isn't it cute? Okay, I'm not happy with the branches. I'm going to have to work on those because they look a little limp and a little sad and a little, I don't know. So those I'm going to work on in my future paintings. And there, I'm just signing it. But in all, I love it. I think it's cute. I appreciate y'all watching the video. Thank you so much for supporting me. Sorry it was late this week, but, you know, hey, life goes on. And like I said, it took me days to do this. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Y'all be good to one another, and I will talk to you later. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Bye.